Is it fair to say that art is in a sense dealing with the abstract, 'cause it's a representation of something that wouldn't be present were it not for the conduit of the artist, unless it's very representational art of like here is an apple.
Well, I mean, I think the fascinating thing about art is that it is open to interpretation, and even an artist making their best attempt to replicate what's happening in the world, realistically, there's always some translation that has the essence of the artist imbued in the final product. And for example, the Ramones were huge fans of Phil Spector 60s pop, and they liked the chants of the Bay City Rollers, yet filtered through their sensibility, you get Blitzkrieg Bop, which is quite chantable, hey ho, let's go, but doesn't sound like any of those influences. So the act of creating, just because you are you and not someone else, it's always going to have some sort of distinct mutation in it, which is such a beautiful thing. It allows people to put something out into the world that's uniquely theirs. And it's sad that a lot of people think that they need to copy what seems most commercially viable, because they're then stifling where that mutation can really bring about something incredible. But it's always going to have something of them in it. And I think that I'm a big fan of studying art and design history and knowing what's going on, but then being purely analytical about how to create something new and not be derivative. That's basically an exercise that's going to paralyze most people, because we're all inspired, and to let it just, what you're inspired by, consciously or subconsciously, flow through you and then manifest in something that you create by just doing it. It's almost like, the Ralph Macchio not realizing that the brush strokes were going to make him better at karate from Mr. Miyagi. For all of you that are old enough to know Karate Kid, this thing that happens when you just do it all the time, you get better. And there've been a lot of things that I found that with, whether it was playing pool or DJing, but art is something I so much enjoy, the visual problem solving, that it doesn't feel like I'm kind of doing my calisthenics. It just is an enjoyable process for me, but you just can't help but get better when you do something all the time. So that's what I say to people that say, I have creative block right now. Like, don't think too hard. Just trust your gut, make it, and then be a good editor at the end of the process. If you haven't achieved what you were hoping to achieve, learn from what went well in that process and what didn't go well in that process, and look at it as nothing is a waste of time. There was a valuable lesson in even the failures.
Do you do any teaching?
I used to be the teacher's assistant when I was at the Rhode Island School of Design for screen printing, and I enjoyed that. Especially, I enjoyed that a lot of cute girls would say you're a better teacher than the teacher, because I thought maybe I could read something else into that as well, which was really flattering. But I think it really was just that I was a better teacher than the teacher.
That's all it was a useless, sincere compliment.
Exactly.
That could never be transferred into actual adulation. That's good, because that idea that the value of authenticity is that you gain access to your own particular mutations, your own particular essence, in spite of whatever influences you may have been in place in getting you to the point where you at least know the vocabulary and the grammar of what it is you're attempting to do. I think that's a vital one. And I like what you said there about not sort of dwelling on the problem of creative block, but being willing just to kind of trust a certain flow. That seems like that's a very productive technique, or at least attitude.
Well, I've watched a lot of interviews of yours, and I've read a lot. But when I read, a couple of your books and found out that you had more or less dictated those all in short order. I mean, not everyone's capable of that sort of thing. But I think that you have the capacity to do that. You must appreciate the idea that you don't overthink it. You start doing it, and then you refine as you go. You just don't have to go through as many rounds of revision as most people.
Yeah, if you've prepared yourself, if you've done the necessary rituals and the necessary study and the necessary practice, then it feels to me more through performance than writing, although I say it's present in both communicative forms, a sense that there is a pre-existing flow that you align yourself with, and if you get out of the way, that flow can come through you. And even in things that I'm not good at and am learning, like notably the martial art Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, sometimes I feel when I see people that are good at it, it's as if Jiu-Jitsu exists as a platonic ideal, and people that are willing to do the disciplinary work are able to plug in to this concrete yet external thing, or transcendent maybe, thing called jiu-jitsu, and there it is. You can light up the grid on it, whereas I'm like sort of fumbling for threads, fumbling to clumsily put together little individual sort of bolts of syntax as I sort of fumble through it. And I suppose you've been practicing for so long, you've been present with it so long. Thanks for watching this podcast and going all the way to the end of it. Would you so kind as to click the bell, might not be there, could be over there, and subscribing so that we can infiltrate your serenity and peace of mind with jangling bells and buzzes. Thank you.